I once saw my boss walking toward me with a serious face, so I instantly started replaying every mistake I've ever made since 2014. By the time she got to me, I'd already drafted my apology, updated my resume, and mentally planned my exit speech. Then she said, "Hey, do you know where the stapler is?" And I said, "No, but I deeply regret everything." If you've ever done anything remotely like that, then you, my friend, are stuck in your own head. And this video is your rescue mission. Here's the brutal truth. Overthinking feels like you're solving problems, but really, you're just running in mental circles like a hamster who thinks he's training for the Olympics. You're not moving forward, you're just exhausting yourself. And I know what you're thinking. Well, isn't thinking a good thing? Yes, thinking is great. Thinking keeps us from, licking electrical outlets or investing in that friend's guaranteed crypto scheme. But overthinking? That's different. That's when your brain takes a normal thought and marinates it until it's completely soggy and useless. Today, I'm breaking down why you get stuck in your head, the sneaky psychology behind overthinking, and how to escape before your brain convinces you that the cashier at Starbucks secretly hates you. Let's start with the obvious. Overthinking feels comfortable. It feels safe. Think about it. You're faced with a scary task. Writing a paper, applying for a job, confessing your crush. Your brain panics and goes, wait. Let's not act yet. Let's think about it for a while. And a while turns into hours, days, sometimes months. Because when you're overthinking, you feel productive. You're making plans. You're running scenarios. You're considering every angle. It's like your brain is telling you, look at us, we're being responsible adults. But here's the catch. Thinking is not the same as doing. Planning isn't progress. It's just procrastination wearing glasses. Imagine this. You've got an essay due tomorrow. Instead of writing it, you spend 3 hours watching YouTube videos on how to improve your essay writing. Then you color code your notes. Then you research the psychological benefits of color coding notes. And by the time you're done, you've got no essay. But hey, your notes look fabulous. See what's happening? Your brain tricked you. It said, stay here, in this little bubble of planning. It's safer than the real world, where failure is possible. And that's the first trap. Overthinking is your brain's fake comfort zone. It gives you the illusion of safety, but it's actually keeping you stuck. Okay, but what's the real problem? I mean, is overthinking that bad? Yes. Yes, it is. And here's why. Every time you get stuck in your head, you're burning energy. Scientists call it decision fatigue. Basically, your brain has a limited tank of decision-making fuel each day. Overthinking drains that tank faster than you can say analysis paralysis. That's why, after a day of spiraling about which career path to take, you feel like you've run a marathon, even though you haven't actually done anything. Ever had this happen? You spend hours scrolling online stores, comparing prices, reading reviews. By the end of it, you're so mentally fried that you just slam the laptop shut and buy nothing. That's overthinking, stealing your time and your energy. And the worst part? All that mental effort doesn't even make you happier with your eventual choice. Studies show that people who overthink decisions often feel less satisfied afterwards because their brain is still whispering, but what if the other option was better? So yeah, overthinking doesn't just waste your time. It taxes your brain, zaps your energy, and leaves you more anxious than before. It's like paying rent for an apartment you don't even live in. Here's the scary part. The more you overthink, the better your brain gets at overthinking. See, your brain is basically a learning machine. The pathways you use the most get stronger, like a dirt path that becomes a paved road after enough people walk on it. That's neuroplasticity. So when you ruminate, replay, analyze, and obsess, you're literally training your brain to worry more. You're making those anxiety loops stronger. You're building highways of stress inside your head. It's like weightlifting, except instead of building muscle, you're building the skill of driving yourself insane. This is why overthinking feels so automatic, because your brain has turned it into a habit. You don't even choose to spiral anymore, it just happens, like a pop-up ad you can't close. And that's what makes it dangerous. It's not just an annoying quirk. It's a mental conditioning that keeps you stuck in fear, indecision, and self-doubt. Picture this, a merry-go-round. You hop on, it spins, and the harder you try to stop it, the dizzier you get. That's overthinking and anxiety. The two feed each other in a vicious loop. You feel anxious, so you start overthinking. The more you overthink, the more anxious you get. Repeat until you're lying awake at 3 a.m., analyzing the tone of an email your boss sent with just a period at the end instead of an exclamation point. Sound ridiculous? Sure. But it happens all the time. Studies show that chronic overthinking, or rumination, is directly linked to higher anxiety and depression levels. So it's not just wasted time, it's actively training your brain to be more anxious. Here's the kicker. You overthink because you want certainty. You want control. You think that if you analyze every angle, you'll find the perfect decision and avoid mistakes. But life doesn't work that way. No amount of thinking can guarantee a perfect outcome. All it does is delay the moment you have to face reality. It's like standing at a swimming pool, dipping your toe in over and over for hours, analyzing the temperature, the angle of the sun, the chlorine level. Meanwhile, everyone else is just diving in and having fun. The irony? By chasing certainty, you actually lose control. Because instead of steering your life, you're stuck idling in neutral, while the world moves on without you. Ever notice how overthinking never has a clear endpoint? Like, when you're solving a math problem, there's an answer. When you're baking cookies, there's a timer. But when you're overthinking, there's no finish line. You can always think of one more what if, one more angle, one more imaginary disaster. That's why you can get trapped in your head for hours. It's an open-ended loop with no exit sign. And here's the sneaky part. Your brain thinks it's helping. It thinks, if I keep analyzing, maybe I'll prevent pain. But in reality, it's doing the opposite. It's magnifying the pain, stretching it out, making sure you suffer now and later. It's like prepaying for suffering you might not even experience. So, how do you escape the spiral? First, spoiler, you're not going to think your way out of overthinking. That's like trying to put out a fire with a flamethrower. The real key is action. You need to break the loop by doing something, anything, in the real world, even if it's small and messy. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're debating whether to send an email. You write it, delete it, rewrite it, delete again, reread, rewrite. Congratulations, you've spent an hour overanalyzing punctuation. Now what's the fix? Send the damn email, even if it's not perfect. Because the reality is, nobody's dissecting your use of semicolons as much as you are. People are too busy overthinking their own emails. 1. Shrink the problem. Overthinking thrives on big, vague problems. What should I do with my life? What if I fail? These questions are so huge they paralyze you. So, shrink the problem. Break it into crumbs. Don't think, I need to write a 50-page thesis. Think, I'll write a rough intro paragraph in the next 20 minutes. Why does this work? Because your brain hates uncertainty but loves small wins. Each tiny step gives you proof. Oh, I can do this. And before you know it, those crumbs add up to a loaf of bread, or, in this case, a finished thesis. Think of it like eating pizza. You don't shove the whole thing in your mouth unless you're a YouTube mukbang channel. You take it slice by slice. Same with your goals. 2. Time box your thinking. Here's a dangerous truth. Thinking can be useful if you don't let it run wild. So instead of, I'll think about this until my brain explodes, set a timer. Give yourself 20 minutes to brainstorm, analyze, whatever. Then stop. Decision made. Move on. It's called time boxing, and it tricks your brain into putting boundaries on the endless spiral. It's like telling your overthinking brain, listen, you can pace around the cage for a while, but when the bell rings, you're done. 3. Prioritize action over perfection. Overthinking is perfectionism's evil cousin. You tell yourself, I can't start until I know the perfect way. But here's the problem. The perfect way doesn't exist. What exists is momentum, and momentum beats perfection every time. Want proof? Look at every successful creator, entrepreneur, or leader. Their first attempts, messy, awkward, imperfect, but they started. And starting gave them feedback. Feedback gave them growth, and growth got them results. So instead of obsessing over the right path, take any path. Even the wrong one teaches you more than staying frozen. As the saying goes, you can't steer a parked car. 4. Externalize your thoughts. One sneaky hack: get the thoughts out of your head. Write them down. Journal. Make a messy mind map. Say them out loud to a friend or to your cat. Doesn't matter. What matters is taking the buzzing swarm in your head and dumping it somewhere else. Why? Because when thoughts stay in your brain, they echo, they loop, they grow into monsters. But on paper or in conversation, they shrink. They become real, tangible, manageable. Think of it as decluttering your brain the same way you declutter your closet. Get the junk out where you can see it, sort it, and toss what you don't need. 5. Train your brain to let go. Remember earlier when I said your brain is a habit machine? That works in your favor too. Just like you trained your brain to spiral, you can train it to let go. Mindfulness and meditation aren't just trendy buzzwords, they're literal brain rewiring tools. Studies show that regular meditation reduces rumination and helps you break those obsessive loops. And no, I don't mean sitting cross-legged on a mountain chanting Om. Even 5 minutes a day of focusing on your breath can teach your brain a new skill, noticing thoughts without clinging to them. Because here's the thing, you can't stop thoughts from popping up, but you can stop feeding them. 6. Apply the do it badly rule. This is one of my favorite hacks. If you're overthinking because you want to get it perfect, flip it. Tell yourself, fine, I'll do it badly on purpose. And what happens? You lower the pressure. Suddenly the task isn't this high-stakes, life-or-death performance. It's just doing. And 9 times out of 10, once you start, it doesn't even turn out that badly. Think of it like writing a rough draft. It's not supposed to be perfect, it's supposed to exist. Perfection can come later. Right now, existence is enough. At the end of the day, overthinking is just fear in disguise. Fear of failure, fear of regret, fear of embarrassment. But here's the truth. Staying in your head is the biggest failure of all. Because life isn't lived up there. It's lived out here, in action, in messy attempts, in real experiences. So here's your challenge. This week, catch yourself in the spiral. Notice when you're pacing in your mental hamster wheel, and instead of another round of what-ifs, just act. Send the email, write the first sentence, make the awkward call. Do it badly, but do it. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. And who knows? Maybe the moment you finally get out of your head is the moment you actually get ahead.